I hear that all the time. Well, if I do this, I have to pay more taxes. So it locks you out of your own enjoyment of your own money.
Hi, this is Jeff Mersacci, the Plain English Attorney, and welcome to the video today. We are going to have a great panel discussion on a specific retirement planning technique. With me, we have Chris Pell. He is a devoted member of Debt Free for Life Advisors, and Chris Pell has dedicated nearly 3 decades to the cause of guiding families toward financial independence, liberating them from the necessity of relying on banks or financial institutions. His journey in the insurance industry has been fueled by a passion for illuminating the path for others to harness the power of compound interest in their favor, shifting the advantage away from banks and towards personal financial empowerment. We also have with us Victor Angustia's. He is been in the college planning and funding space since 2008. He has helped thousands of families navigate how to pay for college and not ruin their retirement. College is a big expense, putting a dent in many families' retirement, and he has developed a financial planning system in which he can show families how to restore their retirement assets and recapture their college costs in tax free income during retirement. He also helps families pay off student loan and other debts much faster and still maintain wealth. And we have Steve Redelsperger. Steve is the principal of Redelsperger Financial Group in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He is Series 7 and 63 licensed for securities, as well as being licensed for life insurance, annuities, health insurance, and property and casualty insurance. He has two birds named Murdy and BG and a dog named Ozzy. And Steve was an entrepreneur even in the sixth grade when he sold candy at his school bus stop, making $800 by selling 5-cent candy for 10 cents. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here today. So, uh, maybe we should start a little bit more. Steve, can you tell us about that entrepreneurial spirit back in the sixth grade? That sounds incredible for someone that young.
Well, that was fun. Well, you got a captive audience, and and we all at that age, candy is like one of the number one things.
Hmm.
And so when I brought candy once to the bus stop, everybody was going nuts over it. So I started bringing more. And then I thought, hey, why not make some money on this? So I used to grab this like shoebox, a metal shoebox, and I'd go start filling it up with candy every day, and then bring it back and sell it the next morning. And I was doing pretty well that way. But then I got the idea, why not buy the whole box of candy and then sell it for, instead of buying it for a nickel, I could buy it for 2 cents and sell it
Hmm.
for a dime. So that's how it really worked. I just like jumped to the next level. So it was fun. It was a good business. So
Yeah. Like I like that creative ingenuity. I remember hearing this story of this kid in school. He brought in like a panini maker and all the materials to put together paninis, and he was selling them for like $5. And it's like, this is better than anything in the cafeteria. And so the school came down on him and said, no, no, you can't sell food. You can give food away, but you can't sell food. So he started selling paper towel strips for $5 and get a free panini with it.
good
Nice.
idea.
Okay.
I like it. I like that the
I
way
like
they're
it.
thinking.
I like it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
have
That's
quite a few stories. I got quite a few stories like that I've done in the past, and
yeah.
it's pretty fun.
Well, I think that just kind of emphasizes knowing the rules and figuring out how to use them to your advantage actually makes a lot of sense. So,
If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channel.
uh, unfortunately, not everybody is really taking advantage of all of the things that they could. So, when we're talking about retirement, and that's what this is really about, what does the typical retirement strategy that the average person is being fed, what does that look like? And what are some of the pros and cons there?
That is one of the most difficult strategies for people. When I say difficult, I mean it doesn't perform as everybody would love it to, right? So what's going on out there is people are saving and they're doing withdrawal rates, maybe 4 to 6% withdrawal rates on their money, and they're finding out, you know, they can survive, but it's not the glorified retirement that they hoped it would be, right? They're making
Hmm.
money. They could eat. Well, not so easy this year, but generally they could eat. And uh, and it's just barely enough to survive, right? That's usually what we're seeing out there. And
Hmm.
then it's full of risk because everybody is controlled with their money through the stock market. And when the market goes up, I mean, it's great. We're all happy. The advisor's happy, the clients are happy. But when the market goes down, unfortunately, the advisor doesn't suffer that much, but the client does.
Hmm.
And usually that's where they have to be careful on how they spend their money because of the up and down side of those strategies. So it kind of leaves the client at, exposed to a lot of risk, which most of them don't want. The industry is trying to solve the problems through products, specific products to solve it. They do okay, but it still doesn't give them the financial dream that they hoped they would have.
Well, and just to make it very clear, that typical retirement strategy is put everything you can away into IRAs, 401ks, these other tax deferred accounts, and everything's gonna grow. Well, like you said, it goes up and it goes down. There's a lot of risk involved there, which, okay, maybe that can work to your advantage in building at some points. But the other thing is it's all taxable, and especially like you
Mhm.
said, we're in a year with a lot of inflation, particularly around stuff that people need, healthcare costs that aren't covered by insurance, food. I mean, the prices on food, it's inflation, the costs have gone up, and the other thing is shrinkflation, where the same thing that you used to buy might be this big and they shrunk the package a little bit so they make it seem like you're getting exactly the same thing for only a little bit more. No, you're getting a lot less bang for your buck. But that's everybody's just told, yeah, just put money away in the IRAs and 401ks and let it grow. And another problem that I end up seeing, which really a lot of people don't think about because they're being told differently, and that's, yeah, go ahead and put all that money into these accounts. It's tax deferred. When you pull that money out, it's taxable. And I have I have a bunch of clients, they're savers. They followed that exact strategy and they were always told, yeah, when you're in retirement and you don't have your income coming in, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket.
Mhm.
No, they've saved so much that they are actually in a higher tax bracket without working. So these are issues around that standard retirement strategy. So everybody, we'll kind of go. We can start with Victor, then go to Chris, and then Steve. What are some of the things that you've seen with this strategy not doing well, either going wrong or at least not doing as much as it could? So Victor,
Yeah.
what have you seen out there?
Well, in my college planning practice and college funding practice, we all know that college costs are rising faster than inflation.
Hmm.
And what happens is that there are a lot of families that have multiple kids that are wanting to go to college. And college these days, you're buying a starter home every 4 years, right?
Hmm.
And well, today's starter home is a lot different than in the past, even 10 years ago when I said. So a lot of families are sacrificing their retirement. And when they sacrifice their retirement, they're gonna hurt themselves. So in terms of developing something, and I use a tool that's similar to what Steve uses for this, where they can use the same dollar to pay for college and use that same dollar to help their retirement income and tax-free income. So they can recapture their college costs, and it's not a sunk cost to their family. It actually can enhance or maintain their net worth. So that's a strategy that I've used, and I think it can supercharge what I'm trying to help out with the parents, where they don't have to sacrifice college money and retirement money. So yeah, so now we're able to recapture the money that they would have lost to college in some of the
Okay.
planning that I do and the planning that Steve does.
Right. So just throwing numbers out there. Okay, maybe your method is getting them 75% of where they could be, that extra 25% or more,
Or more.
and really exploding it.
More.
Okay.
Definitely more.
All
So,
right. Well, Chris, what are some things that you've seen in retirement where that typical strategy may not always work as well as they're promised it will?
Well, that's a very good question. In the beginning of my career, I was in the Medicare business, so I worked with a lot of retirees. And one of the biggest things that I saw, one of the main questions I would ask is, let me ask you, when are you going to decide to take Social Security? A lot of these folks don't know. And what I see is a lot of the folks that we talk to typically go with a 60-40 split, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Okay. And I'm just giving you an example of a client of mine that I had back in 2007. He was actually in a 70-30, 70% stocks, 30% bonds, no will, no trust, no ancillary documents. And what I noticed with him is that the guy that he was working with, great guy, but the issue is that he really never got with him. He got with him every maybe a couple of years, every 3 years. But what I saw was that the planning didn't match the distribution phase of his retirement. So there's actually a money cycle. Okay. You've got the accumulation phase. That's when you're working. Those are during your working years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's when you're trying to accumulate enough to get to the point where you can retire and have funds for retirement. Okay. Now, the distribution phase of retirement is quite complicated. So one of the things we do, with myself and my team is we look at the 5 tax traps. Okay. So if you're looking at a 70-30 split and 100% of that money's in qualified funds, like this gentleman that I was talking about, and in 2008, the market went down 48% with his money. So guess what? He actually had to go back to work for another 3 or 4 years. And it didn't take him, I think it was about 7 years when he got back to even. So I think a lot of folks need to look at, there's different phases during retirement. Okay. I mean, post-retirement or pre-retirement is the accumulation phase. And then when you're in retirement, that's your distribution phase. And then, of course, whatever we don't use, we want to leave it to our loved ones the best, most tax efficient way. And that's the phase that we look at the most. And that's the phase that we really want to make sure that we make sure they're taken care of. So really the 70-30 split, it's not a bad strategy. But, being in the insurance business and, working with other professionals, what I've seen is that a lot of people can't take that 30, 40, 50% hit in the market. Okay. So the old way of doing things, things are changing, and there's other products out there that can, guarantee an income stream that you can never outlive. There's products out there that you can create an income stream that can be completely tax free. And what's great is whatever you don't use, you can leave it to your loved ones in a tax-free situation. So in my experience, I just feel when I sit down with a retiree, we got to ask a lot of questions. And in a lot of circumstances have to do a lot of reprogramming. So, with that being said, I mean, that's pretty much how that the questions you were asking about, these qualified funds and the average rate of return, that's really tough. A lot of the professionals that I work with does stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, that does assets under management. They don't show any more than a 6.5% rate of return. They're conservative. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, yeah, and this is something that I end up seeing a lot. Now, I try to work with good professionals in the financial area who see all of the options for their clients. Unfortunately, I see a lot of professionals, oh, it's in stocks. And like you said, oh, it's that 70-30 split. And that's what you're going to do from the year you start working all the way through retirement. It's all going to be in stocks with this particular split. It's like, well, no, 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 no. Depending on the age and the circumstances, you said, okay, accumulation and in withdrawing phase and retirement, there's this transition that should be happening the older you get to stuff that's going to lock in and keep things more secure and be conscious of the taxes. You don't just throw it all in the market at the same risk level forever. No, so meeting with your financial professional on a more consistent basis than every 3 or 4 years. I mean, that's just at a basic level. But okay, now Steve, I guess we're gonna be talking about a strategy that really can kind of explode retirement. But what have you seen in that traditional mindset of retirement? Just throw everything into an IRA or a 401k. What kind of problems have you seen there that led to this other method that we're going to be talking about?
Well, the main thing is risk, right? Risk and taxes.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. So you got the problem is the risk locks you out of your money sometimes.
Hmm.
So when you really want money and the market's down, the risk locks you out. Taxes lock you out because you'd love to spend the money, but you just don't want to pay the tax on it. You don't want to move yourself to a higher tax bracket.
Hmm.
You know, I hear that all the time. Well, if I do this, I have to pay more taxes. So it locks you out of your own enjoyment of your own money. So our strategies, what we're shooting for, is relieving all that pressure,
Yep.
the pressure of taxes, the pressure on um, the risk that it gives you, right? The
Yeah.
enjoyment of the risk, right? The market's down. What was it? The old stock market back in the depression when that market hit, people jumped out of
Hmm.
buildings. I mean, it's just terrible, right? What the
Yeah.
risk does to people. We want our clients to not have to worry about things. We like mailbox clients, right? They open the mailbox, there's a check, it's all tax free. They don't have to worry about anything. And next year it's bigger. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's like perfect retirement. Why would you want to have to worry about everything the whole retirement? It should be, you have to understand these strategies to help you really improve your life. And it improves your life and your family's life. It's just amazing.
Okay. Well, that was actually going to be my second question. I think you kind of
I did the
preemptively got
segue.
into it. It's what's getting in the way of it really exploding your retirement growth. And you mentioned it, it's the risk in the taxes. Uh, so let's talk, if we can, a little bit more the dangers of taking too much risk and how taxes are really impacting the way a retirement is growing as well as being withdrawn.
Right. So the risk first, right?
Hmm.
We've been in a tremendous market since the housing crisis. The market is just about gone up the best it's ever done. No one in no time in history have we had the upside that we've had over the last 10 to 12 years. So as we all know, gravity eventually works, right? What goes up must come down,
Yeah.
right? Right. So when is that going to be? I don't know. You would think
Yeah.
soon, right? Um, so you look at your portfolios and everybody's happy because everything's gone up so much, yet very few are protecting it from what's going to happen. I mean, we're due for a retracement. I don't know how much it's going to be. Could be 50%. I don't know.
Hmm.
Right. So think about that. If you're ready to retire today and tomorrow the market drops 50%, what does that do to your retirement?
Yeah. I
It,
mean, and that kind
it,
of
it'll
goes
come back.
over to Chris's story with his client. What you said,
Right, right,
48%?
Yeah,
right,
48%.
right. And the market in the past has always come back, and I don't believe it wouldn't come back. I believe it come back also. Why wouldn't it? Unless whatever, unless something bad happens, I don't know. But but it's all about time, right? Does it come back in
Mhm.
the time we need it? If you're taking money out, dollar cost averaging is a strategy where you're putting money in on a regular basis. And sometimes the market goes up. Move my hand here. Sometimes the market goes up, and you're buying a little higher. Sometimes it goes down, which is great. When you're buying lower, right? Now, when you're doing the distribution phase, when you're taking money out of these retirement accounts or whatever accounts they are, when the market goes up, great. You're taking money out at gains. But when the market falls, now you're taking money out when the market's down, opposite of what we need to be doing, right? But you're in retirement, you need your money. And that's what happens to a lot of these. And
Yeah.
the products are out there to fix it, uh, generally will reduce your rate of return in lieu of um, guaranteeing the downside, right? So those are out there. That it's a good idea that they have them, but they don't do enough. Then
Yeah.
none of them get rid of taxes,
Hmm.
and that's
Mhm.
the other problem. So you're in retirement. You don't have anything to deduct anymore, right? The kids are gone, the house is paid off, all your deductions are pretty much gone. You're receiving Social Security, you start receiving your other income, you receive too much income, and your Social Security is taxed. So, I mean, they'll get you coming and going, right?
Yeah.
So,
You know,
it's tough.
yeah, I hear that all the time too. Oh, the market always comes back. Yeah, I think I this has been a long time since I looked at this, but I think it's 20 years is that benchmark. I think there was only one time since the market started that there was a 20-year period where, okay, it lost between year 1 and year 20. Only once has it gone down. It always goes up. But if you're getting hit with that quote 48% drop right at the time you're there for retirement, oh yeah, the market will come back, guaranteed, in 20 years. You don't have that type of time frame depending on where you are in life. So this mitigation of risk is a big thing. And then, okay, if it's in something that's tax deferred, that's the second piece of it. Like I said, I got a lot of clients who end up getting absolutely slaughtered with taxes because they used the strategy everybody tells you, just put it away in 401ks, put it in the market, let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. All right, even if it does explode when they're pulling money out, when they get to their required minimum distributions, they're having to pay more in taxes than they did when they were working. Yeah.
And Jeff, you
And
got to add on there, and most people don't really understand, is the IRMA, the income related monthly adjustment amount on their Medicare.
Mhm.
Huge.
Yeah.
That is one of those things that creep up on a lot of seniors, and they say, "How come my advisor never told us this?"
Mhm.
Well,
Because
okay,
some
let's go
people,
ahead. Describe Irma because, yeah, this channel is talking about it in plain English. Not a lot of
that's
people
right.
actually know this problem. Their
Well,
advisor
IRMA,
should.
yeah, no, I say IRMA is Uncle Sam's sister, Aunt Irma. Again, it is based on your income in retirement. And there is outside of the income tax brackets we have to deal with, there is an IRMA income bracket that you have to deal with. I think right now there's about five different IRMA brackets. Basically, is the higher your income, your Social Security will get taxed. And Steve did touch on that. But again,
Hmm.
people don't understand when you say your Social Security will get taxed. This is one of the biggest taxes that you'll face in retirement if you don't plan accordingly.
Hmm.
So that's part of what we try and help families out is help mitigate that IRMA. Again, income related monthly amount adjustment. And people
Yeah.
will get a letter from Social Security saying, hey, we looked at your income last year. We're going to deduct $600 or $400 or $300 from your Social Security. Now, you multiply that by as a couple, that's a lot of money. There
Yeah.
are couples that are paying over $1,000 a month in IRMA fees, and it's a surprise.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. And the way we've spoken off camera before, it really is kind of two different techniques that are combined in a way that really just amplifies and explodes your potential for retirement. So, Steve, if you can tell us about that first technique of like getting retirement assets out without extreme taxes.
So what we've done is we married a few strategies together, and that's what we do is our group here, with Chris, Victor, and I. And what we're doing in that strategy is we're able to help people see what what income they potentially can have now, and then and we compare it to what it might grow to, what we could actually do by putting it into these strategies. It's simple to do. There's complicated behind it a little bit about how we're using the rules in the client's favor, but we're able to use your IRAs to move it into these plans and do it without tax. And then on the way out, we show them how to reduce the tax dramatically. So there's very little tax on this overall strategy. And in the future, down the road, they're going to have a ton of tax-free income coming off of this. So the results we're looking for is instead of, say, you had retirement income, I'll throw a number out there of 50 grand a year. We like seeing that at 100 grand, 150 grand, or 500 grand, right? We're seeing using these strategies that you get 3 to 10 times more income coming out, which is tremendous. And the value to the estates, the clients, where they would have a small estate, which is nice. It's always nice when someone leaves you some money, right? But we're actually changing lives because the dollars are tremendous what people are ending up with. So that gets to more closer to the wish list, right? Everybody wants this. Everybody wants more income. Everybody wants more of their family being protected and wants to be able to leave a legacy if they can, right?
Hmm.
And that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay. So I'm not going to get too deep into the mechanics of it. So just because look, that's something that someone really needs to be able to see the numbers and go through stuff. And that's where working with you guys would bring that out on an individual basis. But I do have another video where I explained family limited partnerships. Now, it sounds like that's not going to really be part of this, but what we're really talking about is getting something at one value to come out in a way where the value on paper and according to the rules shrunk. And therefore, the taxation is on the shrunk amount. So, when you have family limited partnerships, you're putting these large business assets in, and then you've got general partner shares, limited shares. The limited shares get gifted out to the kids for a lot less on paper dollar value than it's actually worth. So this is kind of the same thing. Okay, if you can get 100,000 worth of taxable, 100% taxable assets out, but according to the rules, it's only worth 50,000 when you pull it out. Well, okay, that's a lot less in taxes. So just essentially, that's kind of what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I'm really
Yes.
oversimplifying it.
Right. And a lot of people, a lot of people think right away this is like a Roth IRA or conversion into a Roth IRA,
Yeah.
which that's what a lot of people do, right?
Yeah.
We see this all the time, especially people who come into us for the first time, like, well, I'm already doing the Roth conversion, and which doesn't get rid of the tax. It gets rid of the tax in the future, but
Yeah.
you're still paying the tax now. And there's a couple ways they're trying to defer that tax or minimize that tax,
Hmm.
but it doesn't get rid of that tax. It doesn't shrink the tax like you were just talking about. And that's the key to part of what we're doing.
And you know what, Steve? You know, one other thing about the Roth IRA, we all know that you can leave that Roth to that child, but that child has to liquidate that in 10 years. So they're going to
That
take that
yeah,
money,
that
and guess what they're going to do? They're going to put it back into what? More
A
taxable
taxable account.
vehicles.
Yeah.
So
oh
Yeah.
talk
but
about
wait,
paying tax and then paying tax again, you know.
so what you're saying is the government has ways of correcting the gifts that they give, right?
Yes.
Well, that's
That's
why
bad.
during retirement, that's it's so important. A lot of people are not looking at those 5 tax traps. I mean, at the end of the day, when somebody passes away, you're not down. Now you're down from a married found to single. I mean, so that
Oh,
changes.
that's a big hit.
I mean, it's a big hit. A lot of people don't see that. So
Okay. All right. So then it's pulling money out of reduced valuation for taxes. But now let's talk a little bit about the second part of the strategy, and that's really kind of exploding that potential retirement on now it's a tax leverage basis. It's not 100% income taxable anymore. So go ahead and tell us about that.
It then becomes tax free. And also, we have a strategy to help those dollars keep on increasing. So instead of taking money out every year, paying tax on it, you know, you can take money out on a tax free basis, and it's tax free to you forever. Right?
Okay.
And-
And
Without
Steve,
getting overly technical,
yeah.
can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about how that works? And I'm going to put the caveat, look, this isn't something that you necessarily want to try on your own just because it could explode in your face if you're not doing it the right way.
Absolutely. Right. Right. So we'll use insurance products. We'll use whatever strategy we can. Generally, the what we're using mostly is the life insurance contract, right? So we'll use whatever we can, and so the client puts money in. We get this going, and then because of the interrupted way a life insurance contract works, compounding is interrupted. It is non-interrupted, right? I'm not sure if I said that right in the first. The non-interrupted compounding that we use in the life insurance contract, people are able to get tax-free income off of that. And that's happened forever. That's not new. The way we're using it and the strategies we're putting in all together are fairly new. But none of these products or none of these strategies on their own are new. But we now have figured out how to bring it to everybody instead of just the wealthy.
yep,
But
Yeah.
Steve, let me add this. It's not actually new because we're utilizing IRS codes that have been around since the 1930s.
yeah,
We're, that's
Yes.
what I want you to understand. It's not new. We're just utilizing, and we have teams or partners that help us understand the tax codes in this. So we're just utilizing the tax codes in the client's favor. It's not
Yes.
new.
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
also have folks that keep us compliant as well. So that's important as well.
Well, and that's having a team approach to something that can be pretty complex. I mean, you can explain it to the clients in simple terms. Here's what we do here, and then here, and then here. But there's a lot of stuff in the background that's complex that you really need people who know what they're doing. But like you said, Victor, these are things that have been in the code since the 30s. It's just that only the really, really already wealthy have been taking advantage of it. And this is something else that I tell people all the time. So, look, there's a lot of stuff that life insurance can do that other things can't do. If you think that, like, the oil industry and the healthcare industry, if you think they've got good lobbyists in Washington carving out all of these loopholes and exception, it's nothing compared to the insurance industry. And the way you know that is these loopholes are there, but you don't hear about it.
Mhm.
Somebody pointed out something, I forget exactly where I saw it, but if you see like the Forbes wealthiest list, the people who are on that list aren't the really wealthy people. It's the people that the really wealthy people made CEOs to kind of front their money, so nobody sees that they're actually on these lists. So yeah, these exceptions and loopholes, if you take advantage of it in the right strategy, can, like you said, just explode that retirement if you know the rules.
Yeah, at the end of the day, life insurance, I mean, that's what built Disney. So
Yeah.
that's how Walmart was started. So the ultra rich have been using these strategies for years and years and years. Like Vic said, these tax laws have been around since the 1930s.
Yeah.
So, so it's our job to get out there to make sure people are aware of what is out there to make sure they're put in a better position.
Okay. So let me essentially, again, very basic. The flex method that you're talking about is getting money out of that 100% income taxable format at a very reduced rate. And from there, really expanding and exploiting what you can take out tax free, or at least I'll use the term tax leveraged,
There you go.
just to be
There you go.
sure. Tax leveraged to your client's advantage in their own retirement. Now, I'm assuming the ideal people for this method isn't the 35-year-old with two kids who's they're working and they're putting money away. It's not necessarily okay. We want to get 100% of everything you've got out of your IRAs and 401ks. No, but somewhere in there, you've got that ideal candidate. What does the ideal candidate look like for this flex method?
So what we're seeing so far in all the people that we've helped, um, anybody who has a couple $100,000 or more in their qualified plans or in other savings that wants more income out of it. Those are the people that are really benefiting from this. Um, the people who have the smaller assets need our help even more, but they have smaller assets. It's really difficult to help, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to help those. We can make some improvements in it. We have one strategy that um, think about this. If you can invest in the stock market in the S&P 500, for example, if you can invest in the S&P 500 and you can cap the downside and not give up the upside because there's products that'll help you not have any downside, but they sometimes cap the upside. But if you could just get both, no downside and all the upside, that would be perfect, right?
Yeah.
That'd be an awesome way to invest. Well, we have a strategy that that's their goal is to help you do that, right? And they come pretty close to that. So the downside is pretty close to zero, and the upside is the majority of the S&P 500, if not all of it. So that could help a lot of people. I mean, especially with what we just talked about earlier, where this market has just gone up so much.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody should be doing that strategy, right?
Yeah.
everybody. So within that, then we look at, okay, how much of their assets do they want to generate for income, and how can we protect it? So that's who we're working with. So the the 100,000 and lower, that gets pretty difficult. We just help them not lose money, right?
Hmm.
Anything more than 100,000, we can really start magnifying their income.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, I want to correct you on thing.
No, please
So
do.
in terms of the 401k, yes, if you're young and you're putting in money in the 401k, there's another method that there are younger folks who do make good money and have saved up. It doesn't have to be in a 401k to do. Just wanted to share that with you.
Okay.
Yeah, this strategy does it work extremely well, better than the 401k. So if you're the individual who is maxing out his 401k, maxing out now
Mhm.
while you can, right? If you just do the 401k to the match, just get the employer's money and take the rest and put it into this plan, you'll have a lot more money than you ever thought possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is something that I always tell everybody. If you really want to just boil it down, step one, if you've got a 401k, put money into it up to the employer match. I don't think there's anything out there that's going to give you more than free money from your employer. Okay. And then you can look at, okay, if you've got the opportunity to build in a Roth, okay, go ahead and do that. And then it's these techniques that are more secured that you're talking about, especially for people who are getting a little closer to retirement, that you want to start looking at this. Now, it just kind of occurred to me that the three of you as a team putting together a single strategy for a client, it would be very beneficial because, look, Chris, you're the expert on debt, making sure that you're not getting buried in debt. And okay, Victor, with okay, you've got kids and they're going to go to college, or we've got that. And now on the retirement end, this strategy, but it really takes the whole team to kind of understand this and put this into place throughout lifetime.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think it's important to take the holistic approach to things. I mean, you got to look at every hour, every area. I mean, it's important to have your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. It's absolutely important. It helps with inflation, but there are
Mhm.
other key products out there that can enhance what you're currently doing. So it's important to have, or at least take a look at everything, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that when you're getting ready to retire, you're not in a position if the market just tanks, you don't have to go back to work.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I tell people to really look at avoiding are financial professionals who tell you no matter what, everything should be invested in the market. Or, you're telling someone who's in retirement already, yeah, keep everything 100% in the market. No, no. At the same time, you're not going to tell a 30-year-old, don't put money in the market. Everything should be guaranteed safe and secure. Even it's got to be this mix depending on your particular situation. And that evolves over time as you get older, as your situation changes, and as you get closer to that retirement age. The plan should keep getting updated and work to your advantage. It's never 100% do this and do it for your whole life. That just never works out. Okay, so any kind of final thoughts that you want to put out there for the audience to consider and take a look at?
What you need to do is, if you actually go to their website and ask for information, they'll send you another representative, someone similar to the three of us. So don't ask on their website for additional
Yeah.
information. Ask us; we'll be more than happy to give it to you. But it's just a company. Um, it's good to investigate what's going on. We'll help you see the different strategies. We'll point you to um, YouTube videos that other people have made. Some are good, some love this system, some don't like it, and we want our clients to see both, right? Because we
Okay.
want them to be educated and understand what is going on, right? How is this thing working and why does it keep on producing more and more and more money for our clients,
Hmm.
right? So so definitely come through us, and we'll be happy to help you. Up front would be Victor and Chris. They'll field all calls. They'll help people start getting the information and start answering questions. Once they get all their information, those two get all the client's information, then we'll work on the plan design, and that's when I come in and help them with
Okay.
the macro plan design and work on that. So that's what we do. So we're in our process, we're marrying 3 or 4 different strategies together. So we have a 401k strategy, which we married with a couple other strategies, and the combination of all these have a tremendous income for the clients
Okay.
and lower risk, more income. That that's think about that. If you invest in the stock market and you can, we're old enough. We've had gains, we've had losses in the market. What if you can't? What if you could have all those losses back? How much more money would you have? Would your clients have? Would all these people that listening to this have if they can get all their losses back? Right? So unfortunately, we can't do that for you. I wish we could, but what we do is we stop the losses from going forward. We don't want
Okay.
any more losses, right? It's just fantastic. The other strategy, which is very similar to this, which nobody does, and it's a very easy strategy, is when you're one of those young people, out of college, out of school, whatever, and you start buying houses. If you bought a house a year, which nobody ever does that for some reason, but if you bought a house a year for 20 years, but think about it this way, if you bought a house for every year for 20 years, you'd own 20 houses, right? The first house is the mortgage has shrunk on it and you've rented them out and the rents have gone up. So you'll have more and more income the longer you keep this. And we're not buying houses, but we're using our products that work similar to this strategy. And you get growth, you get income. And it's just fantastic. Just like owning a bunch of houses, except we don't have any maintenance. We don't have any calls in the middle of the night or tenants to deal with. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's much
actually,
easier.
I'm glad that you brought up with the real estate, because real estate people love this because they understand leverage.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah, yeah,
and less risk.
yeah.
So,
All right. So, what is the best way to get a hold of Victor and Chris? Go ahead and tell what's the best way to get a hold of you. So, if they are interested in this, they can get the ball rolling.
Yeah, for me, I've got a website where they can go on. It's www.dfwcollegeplanners.com. DFW like Dallas Fort Worth. And then my direct phone number is 972-827-5606. We'd be happy to answer any questions regarding how to divorce Uncle Sam.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And,
And
and
Chris.
of course, Chris Pell. My website's www.phoenix, and that's PhoenixRCLLC.com. My phone number is 336-508-0503.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being on today. And look, this really is something that can help an awful lot of people if it's done the right way. So again, thank you. And as I always
Thank
tell
you.
my clients, please stay safe, plan ahead, and enjoy life. And whatever you do, make it a great day.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.